the record button. Yep,
There's the
that's
record
the
button.
record
Found
button. Now you hit that red button.
To cue the music.
Okay.
So go ahead and cue it. Cue it now.
All right.
Here we are again.
And we have clearly established that this is episode 6.
Yeah,
We're 2 episodes further along than we ever thought we would be.
exactly. And way more on track. I feel like we're getting it dialed in. We know what we're doing. We're following a script.
I saw that you were making notes for today's show, but my question is, how did you share those notes with the rest of us?
Oh, I'm just going to keep you guys on track.
Okay, I like it.
We'll see how that goes.
All right.
So episode 6, and we talked about it in episode 1 or 2 that we were going to go to Copper Mountain on the $99 lift ticket day, which is Thursdays. I think next Thursday they're not doing the $99 lift tickets because it's like crazy busy season. But
The next 2 Thursdays, they're not.
Okay.
Which is the 28th and the
Third, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And then after that, back to Thursdays. And all in all, a great day.
Yeah.
You know, a good and bad. The snow is still kind of rough, but way better than it was a few weeks ago at Copper.
Absolutely.
Top to bottom Super B runs were open. Andy's Encore was open and icy as usual.
That I did not remember how steep Andy's Encore gets towards the bottom. I went
some
off one
serious
side
pitch.
and I was like, oh, okay, all right. Slow it down.
And it's not even how steep it is, it's that it's icy.
Yeah,
Like if it
true.
was like AstroTurf snow that you could turn on, it wouldn't be so bad.
Well, like you were mentioning just a couple weeks ago, it was a race course, and you can still see like the blue paint and
Yeah.
like and the where they were turning. So it's hard. It's heavily skied. That's for sure.
And there was still ski race training going on, so but it really wasn't in the way. There was a couple little places that were roped off, but skiing right along the rope line next to the race course,
Lush.
it's weird. People will ski in the middle of the run. They don't like to ski next to the trees, but they really don't like to ski next to the rope line, which is weird because the rope is much safer bet than the trees.
Yeah. So an interesting thing that happened to us at Copper, me and Dylan got there first. And when we got out of the car, we went to the black route that would take us to the Super B. But one of the
black
bus.
route is the shuttle bus.
Thank you. There's a black route that takes you to Super B. Blue route takes you and East Village. Blue route takes you to Center Village and the American Eagle. And then I don't know what the other route
I think it's the green route, and it takes you to like west,
which is American Flyer.
west of that.
Oh,
even.
even further.
Yeah.
So we line up to go to the Super B, and the like attendant comes over and is like, "Hey guys, we're actually having troubles with Super B right now. It's down for maintenance, so we don't think it's going to open at 9. So we're not opening the black route shuttle yet. I would take the blue route, go ski. Okay, not a big deal.
They weren't even operating the bus.
Correct. Yeah. So we go hop on the blue route, go to the Center Village, go up American Eagle, get to the top. And at this point, we can see Super B is moving, but obviously that doesn't mean it's open. You got to weigh maintenance and everything. There's a person with an information jacket right at the top of the lift. And Dylan and I are like, oh, perfect. Let's go ask them if they know anything. Go up to them and they go, hey, is the Super B open yet? And she goes, well, let me pull out this piece of paper that was printed this morning. Yep, it's sure open. We're like, oh no, I'm sorry. They told us actually on the bus that it was down for maintenance. We're just trying to see if it's actually back up and running. She said, yeah, my paper.
My paper is the truth. It
says that
it was printed
running.
just this morning.
When you guys told me, so I got to, and we parked in the Alpine lot, and there used to be this lot called the Triple Treat lot, which is at the bottom of the H-Air. My understanding that's gone. It doesn't matter. The H-Air is not open this time of year anyway.
Yeah.
So I parked at the Alpine lot also. When you guys told me the Super B was down and I looked over and it was stopped after 9 o'clock, I was going to bail. I was going to not go to Copper Mountain. But as soon as that happened, it was open and it was going. And I'll give their shuttle buses It wasn't ideal. I mean, it was okay, but we waited like 10 minutes for the shuttle bus to come. And then I thought it was going to be mobbed, but those buses hold a lot more people than it looks like.
Yeah.
And then it does drop you off right at the Super B pretty much. And so that was super convenient. And all in all, a good day, not as convenient as Loveland the day before where you park right there at the chairlift.
Yeah, you just can't beat that.
I mean, like you said on podcast number 5,
This is 6.
this is 6. Like you said on podcast number 5, is you were parked like 150 feet away from the chairlift.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
And both Loveland on Wednesday and Copper Mountain on Thursday, the great news was there was no lift lines either day. And we went to Copper because we wanted to say, are the $99 Thursday lift tickets going to blow up our favorite ski day of the week, which is Thursdays? And not at all.
No.
It did seem crowded, but the runs did because there's not a lot open.
Yeah.
But 0 lift lines. We waited maybe 15 to 30 seconds was probably the worst.
Yeah,
We
I would
waited.
agree.
Which is ideal.
Yeah,
100%.
Not bad at all.
And then whenever you think about once more acreage opens up and more lifts open up, that wait time, $99 ticket day is awesome.
And we were talking about that later in the year, we'll literally never ski Andy's Encore. That it's like this time of year, the runs you ski at Copper Mountain. And Hallelujah was one of them, which is a great run. It's a black diamond, had lots of rocks yesterday. But once the mountains open, you never ski. I don't ski Hallelujah again for the rest of the season. So, but all in all, two big thumbs up for Copper Mountain. And it's coming. There was a moment we were on the chairlift together where it was snowing really hard yesterday.
Yeah.
And the next lift, the sun was out.
Yeah. It was weird.
We were like, the weatherman got it wrong. It wasn't supposed to snow today and it's coming down. And he wasn't wrong. It was a half a trace and that was it.
Yep. Not even enough to be visual on the mountain.
I saw, I think Arapahoe Basin and Aspen both reported like 1 today.
Okay.
And then we're supposed to be getting a storm that all the weathermen in Colorado right now are, it could be 2 inches, it could be 12 inches. So I think we're all hoping for the 12 inches. And real quick to shift gears to the East Coast, they got crushed by rain last week and they're having to rebuild all their lift ramps. And I mean, they're having like some of the areas shut down to protect the snow because of heavy rain. So we should be grateful for what we do have. And that's top to bottom skiing on pretty firm snow. But all in all, good day. It was back on the Rosignol Sender TIs and it was good to be home. I know I haven't given those skis like a glowing review, but I have skied on so many different pairs of skis this year that it's been so good to be back on them. And it's just a good all mountain ski. It doesn't do anything great, but it does everything good.
So what I'm looking at right now, according to AccuWeather in Frisco, which is to me is just like a central point of a lot of resorts that we're talking about. Starting at 9 a.m., there's a weather outlook for 6 to 10 inches of snow tomorrow.
Ah, that would be great.
Interesting. That's so interesting. So I just looked at On the Snow. That's what the app I got based on Ryan Kelly's advice to track snowfall at the different resorts. And all the resorts I'm following, Eldora, Copper, Winter Park, A-Basin, and Loveland, are expecting to get 4 to 5 inches over the weekend. So that's interesting. It'll be interesting to see which one's more accurate.
I mean, I think you said it on the lift that, 6 inches will set Copper free, and maybe this is the weekend to make it happen.
Yeah, they don't need much snow. It looked like they were just 6 inches to a foot short of being in really good shape. So the confusion on the weather this weekend, if you are a weather nerd, is there's 3 main computer models that they use. And when they're in sync and they all suggest similar snowfall or similar storm patterns, weather forecasters are confident in their forecast. And one of the guys, and I apologize because I don't remember his last name, is Seth, and I follow him on Facebook. And he was talking about how the models just aren't matching up on this storm, and they're one saying zip and the other one saying 12 inches.
Interesting.
And that's why you're going to see these mix and matches. I got my fingers crossed because I am going to commit ski suicide tomorrow, and I'm going to drive I-70 from Boulder, Colorado to Vail. in Ski Vale, not only on a Saturday, but a holiday Saturday. So if I make it, which is the problem with I-70 is you're never guaranteed, I will report back next week on how it went. The good news why I'm willing to risk my whole holiday weekend on one ski day is I'm not coming back I-70. I'm going to continue on to Pitkin County
Nice.
to visit my family for the holidays.
I can't wait to hear on our remote podcast that we're going to do in a week or two. I can't wait to hear how long it took. So make sure you mark how long it took to go down I-70.
So I talked to Mel, my wife, and I said, let's go tomorrow, but we have to leave at 5 a.m.
Okay. Then you'll probably be all right. 5 a.m. Even on a holiday weekend, you should be good.
Yeah, you'll beat it.
And then just have breakfast in Vail.
Yeah.
And then go ski. So if you asked me, what do you think about ski in Vail on any Saturday? I would say don't do it no matter what, no matter how bad it gets. But I'm going for it. I'm doing it for the podcast. I'm doing it because I want to experience what is it called? What did they say? The epic failure.
Oh, the epic fail?
Let's talk about that. So we posted an article today to our Facebook and other places, and it's an article on slate.com, correct?
Correct.
And remind me who the author was.
The author is Gordon LaForge,
And
it's called Epic Fail.
Epic Fail. And I'll give Gordon this. The way he talks, go read the article. Don't take our word for it. And we've already covered this subject. Are the mega passes ruining skiing?
Oh, and I'll post a link to the article in the description of the podcast so you can go take a look at it.
Yeah. And so they're saying that the battle between Vail Associates and Altera, which is Epic and Icon passes, is ruining skiing. And I'll give him this in his credit for his story is the way he talks about Arapahoe Basin is so true. That he's like, used to be able to go on the beach and used to be able to do this and used to have pony kegs and all these things. And then and so you can tell he's got legitimate experience. He's experienced the basin. Basin's nickname is the Legend, and he's right about all of that. The one place he was wrong is it's still that way.
Yeah.
And the article goes on to say that in the sense that they only do like 7 days on the Icon Pass, so they're not partners with any of these places in full. But A-Basin hasn't changed as far as it's still got that amazing vibe. And just my opinion, and I know you got something to say on this, they haven't killed skiing.
Agreed.
Altera and Vail haven't ruined skiing. I think there's a lot of conversations to be had about the mega passes and the jerks that buy both of them. But
Who does that?
Who would ever do that?
But that hasn't ruined skiing. And then you brought up a good point.
Yeah.
That how it all started. Go ahead and tell that.
Well, that's literally where I stopped reading because I was just like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm gonna read it verbatim. The story of how this happened begins, unsurprisingly, with private equity. In the early 1990s, Leon Black's Apollo Capital Management bought the company that owned Vail and Beaver Creek, two of Colorado's finest ski areas, out of bankruptcy.
So, yeah.
Okay.
And that would sound like it had a little more to do with saving skiing. Well, I mean, somebody would have bought in Vail. At that time, clearly there was some kind of mismanagement because the ski industry is always... It's always had the potential to be profitable. It hasn't necessarily been profitable for everybody, but it's had the potential.
Right. But the idea that someone buying it out of bankruptcy and then trying to turn around and purchase multiple resorts, which it goes on to talk about buying more resorts to bring it under Vail Resorts. I get what he's trying to say, but to be like, well, they saved Vail and Beaver Creek, they're the bad guys, is kind of hilarious to me. Also, one of his points, which we literally talked about in the last podcast, was, oh, you don't see, gone are the live bands, which we talked about. Eldora has live bands on the weekends. Independent outfitters. Okay, sure. There was demos in the parking lot at Loveland. free lift side parking, Loveland, Eldora, and secret smoke shacks. And what did we just talk about?
Yeah, the smoke shack in Jackson Hole back on the Hobarts.
Yeah, we got a video 2 days ago of Ryan's brother at a smoke shack. So
Barbecuing. The name Smoke Shack obviously is in reference to people stop and smoke, but there's other purposes for them.
Yeah.
And in the one, at least when I was in Jackson, yes, there were people stopping and smoking, but there was also people barbecuing and other things. So I think skiing is still strong when you look at it like that. I think, and the day we had yesterday at Copper Mountain and the day we had at Loveland, skiing is still strong. Like Faction was out there demoing skis at Loveland.
Yeah.
And I'm so disappointed in myself. I get so wound up when I ski. The idea of stopping to try out some demos like never crosses my mind. And then at the end of the day, we were done. And I was like, why didn't we go
Me
demo?
and Dylan walked past them and went, oh, we should do that. All right, let's keep going.
Let's keep going. So, and then I wanted to recap just a little bit because this will be the last day I probably ever talk positively about Vail after what I'm going to go through tomorrow on a Saturday. But we talked about on one of our early episodes how when they scan your Epic Pass through your jacket and it's on your phone and then they respond with your name. Thanks, Dave. And I said, man, either Vail's making this really concerted effort to make their customer service superior, or we just had a really good day. And I got a survey yesterday that said, hey, how was your day at Vail? And the survey was spot on. It asked me all the important questions of how did the lift ops treat you? What was important? And it only took like 5 minutes. And I hate companies that send me surveys. And 20 minutes in, United does this.
Yeah.
And then it just keeps getting longer and longer. Because you ordered a cocktail,
Yes.
would you talk about your cocktail for 15 minutes? But they sent me a really spot on survey. And I think that answers the question that they are putting major effort into this customer experience and what we call in our industry, athlete experience.
Yep.
That you're trying to just make sure people have a good day and that it's positive. And I really did a few weeks ago at Vail. And I'm sure it might not. You can always hope, but I have a feeling tomorrow I'm going to be like, what are we doing here?
5-minute lift lines.
Pay attention to that car-to-car experience because it's like the whole thing's important.
It is.
Yep.
It is. It is. And I will. And I'll report back on it. So, but skiing's not dead. I do appreciate that Slate and our passion and our love is making like national headlines and stuff like that because Slate's not a small publication, and that came across my Facebook feed, not necessarily associated with skiing.
Yeah. Well, and even if you disagree with it, which I think I'm way more strongly disagreed with this kind of stuff because I didn't ski before them. So I honestly feel like it's attacking me, which is I'm probably responding out of hurt feelings rather than legitimate concerns. But I think it's really interesting to see how other people view the industry and what's going on right now, especially people who have skied for a long time.
And I might have got this wrong, but I think he references that he lives in Brooklyn.
I think that's right.
That I could see not being keen on the ski industry living in Brooklyn. Because you get this little dose of it a few times a year where we get it every day. So the good days wash out the bad days overall. So, but either way, what else do we got since you have the notes?
All right. Another thing we wanted to talk about was Aprés.
We went to JJ's yesterday.
Yeah.
And
JJ's was awesome.
JJ's is always awesome. Like I feel, and you had the wings, which aren't chicken wings, they're drumsticks that they kind of like squished into lollipops. And those are really good.
They're good.
My burger was really good yesterday too. It was like a brie and raspberry jam burger. And we had a couple IPAs, and I don't remember who they were from because we just said surprise us.
Yeah. Well, I looked at the menu afterwards and they had 2 IPAs, the West Coast and so it was
Odell.
Thank you.
Odell and a West Coast. So who knows?
Upslope was the West Coast.
Ah, okay.
It was Upslope's West Coast IPA, and then Odell's regular IPA, and then they had 2 hazies as well.
and a beer and then back out to the slopes. Honestly, it was a beer, and I'm a little bit older than the rest of the podcast gang, but a beer is how much can be had and still be a good skier. But yeah, JJ's, it used to be called Molly B's, and I mean, it's been like 20 years maybe since it switched to JJ's. And yeah, it's one of the best lunchtime Aprés Ski. It's funny how much we ski Copper Mountain, and I never go to the Center Village. I don't eat there. I don't drink there. And it's great. I love they have that waffle place and all of that, but it's JJ's or time to head out.
You know, JJ's was the first time I'd been there, and most notable to me that stood out was usually when you go to, like, Copper is like a big resort to me, and usually when you go to like the base of a Colorado resort and go to get lunch, it feels like a cafeteria. Like you go and you get your buffet and get on a plastic tray and take it to the checkout. But this is not that vibe. It was a wonderful, like, small community wooden, like, ski cabin themed bar with good service, good vibes.
Ava,
good food.
Was our waitress, right?
Nev. I remember Nev because I wanted to say Neve. Like, because of Rupert Neve. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
I don't. I was thinking Nev Campbell.
It's only like some of the greatest audio equipment that's ever been built.
God, wrong podcast, Dylan. This is not the AV podcast.
So again, as always, I think Copper is one of the best ski areas in the country, just as a total package. And we talk about it a lot, and we ski there a lot. No crowds.
Yep.
You know, the shuttle thing was, I shouldn't complain. The shuttle thing was just fine. I'm just snobby. I like to
walk to it.
I like to walk to my trip.
You can actually walk to the Super B.
It says 7 minutes. I ski in like 130 stiffness race boots, so I'm not walking 7 minutes in those.
I've walked it before, but the shuttle's better.
And you see all the snowboarders walking it, and it makes me jealous that they're wearing like boots that are more like snow boots than ski boots. And so, but all in all, awesome.
You know what? I do also want to try at some point the new lodge that's midway up.
Midway, and I know
was
they
it
did
the Airy?
Airy, I think so. That sounds right.
Yeah, and it's new, and they did a social post yesterday and had photos from the inside, and it looks awesome, like fireplace and all that stuff. So how about the next time we go to Copper Mountain, which will probably be after the first of the year, short of just a drop in, we'll go try it out and get lunch there and see how it goes.
Perfect.
It'll be hard to top the burger that I had at JJ's, that's for sure. There's a high bar.
It is a high bar. That's what I like, is you find the high bar and then you go, can anything else match this?
Right.
And that's why we go to JJ's all the time.
Exactly.
So,
one other thing we should talk about, and this is more of a PSA, straight liners.
There was a lot of straight liners yesterday, and man, don't get me started. Like, I know that it's all that some of these people have is straight lining. It's that they're straight lining because that's what they can do. But it's scary. Like, they're going so fast. And I know the mountains take it seriously. Like, I'm not accusing any of this ski areas of like looking the other way.
Right.
But I feel like if enforcement was a little bit tighter on straight lining, you wouldn't see it 25 times yesterday.
Yeah.
And I know Mel had a
close encounter,
not with a straight liner, with like I'm going to hit the whoopty from the trees out onto the run without looking. And but she chased him down and let him have it, which,
that's what you got to do, though. I mean, to some extent, they need to know.
Yeah, and by let him have it, I mean an earful. Like, she didn't
she didn't knock him down.
She didn't beat him down. But I didn't see it. But it sounds scary, and I did see a lot of unsafe skiing, and you know, I get it. People are skiing on skis that they don't know, and you know, another thing, and this is going to stir all kinds of stuff up. So many of the ski videos I see these days are of these amazing skiers straight lining shoots.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, that to me isn't that impressive. I get it. It takes some guts, but what I really love to see is make some left turns and some right turns in the chute. And that's impressive. And now you see people that just point these chutes, slip through the 2 foot wide gap at 50 miles an hour and ski out onto the flat. And that, I won't deny that I've done that before, mainly out of necessity, but it didn't seem like I was doing something impressive.
Yeah.
And now I think straight lining is like cool.
Yeah.
It isn't cool. I'm going to be the first one to tell you it's not cool at all, because most of those people couldn't stop if they had to.
Well, that's another interesting point on the straight lining. I saw multiple people go down hard, and something that none of them seemed to know is how to self-arrest. They were just skidding down the mountain.
Yeah, and you can't self-arrest on snow like yesterday.
Yeah.
You cannot self-arrest on Andy's Encore for the most part all year.
Yeah.
You know, and these people are going 40, 50 miles an hour, and
some of them had to have been faster than that.
yeah, I was being polite.
Yeah.
But
And with, like we talked about earlier, with how little the mountain was open, everyone is condensed into just one area, and it's a lot of people coming up to the holidays, and it's not the time to be doing that.
Absolutely.
and I like to go fast. You know, one good place to go fast, and just plug your ears for a second, Copper Mountain, is when you're cutting back over to the Super B Skid Row. But one of the reasons it's a good place to go fast is you can see all the way down Skid Row.
Yeah.
And so when you come up over that hill, if there's nobody in Skid Row, it's not that you straight line it, but you make a few less turns and you can feel the wind on your face.
Yeah. Well, and then you have enough speed to carry you up over the little hills.
Yes. Yes. Or launch on the little hills if you want. So everything was Copper delivered yesterday, and everything was going great yesterday for me. I just 2 days in a row. It's what life is supposed to be about. And then to recap, on Wednesday at Loveland, I was skiing on a pair of Mindbender 99 TIs, and they literally broke. And I was making a high G-force turn on very grippy snow. There wasn't anybody around me, and my Solomon shift binding shifted into walk mode, and I took to flight, and one of the skis broke. And I remember thinking, bummer, but I paid full price for these at REI, so I'm sure I can just stroll into REI and they're gonna
Less than a year ago.
I bought them on, I had the receipt. I bought them on December 28th. And so Mel was like, let's go deal with this tonight. And I was like, you're right. We got to deal with it before the 28th anyway. But you're right. The sooner the better. And hoping that they were going to come through with some kind of solution or something, because it's my uphill skis. And I was hoping to do some uphill skiing over the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in, and man, I'm going to trash REI right now. They let me down so hard that it took me like 12 hours to come out of that funk. They didn't even really look at the skis. They were like operator error, and they didn't even want to have a conversation. And then they got a handful of salt and threw it right in the wound. And that was, if you buy a new pair of skis, we'll mount them for free.
Which is probably what they offer anyway.
Yeah. I would imagine if I bought, maybe they do, maybe they don't. So they're like, return it for any reason, blah, 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 blah. If it's broken, and I get it, like, but the reason they were saying they knew it was pilot error was that it was broken.
Right.
And I said, I think there's a malfunction here, because I've been skiing my whole life, hundreds and hundreds of pairs of skis, and I've broken. This was the second pair of skis I ever broke in my life. And the first one had like 3 years under their belt. And I won't say anything bad about the Rossignol Soul 7. You hear us talk about them all the time. Dylan skiing on a pair. I did break a pair of those years ago skiing bumps. But they just said, beat it. And then my wife asked, do you think you could hook us up with contact info for K2? Because it just seems like this probably shouldn't have happened. And they were like, no, they're going to say the same thing and stuff like that. So, okay, to summarize a whole long story, I haven't been super vocal about, I don't think you should buy skis at a ski shop, because you're not really getting anything that you're not getting from a private party.
Right.
And I'm a big fan. We bought a pair of skis last week off of Facebook. Just so happens they're K2 mind benders also. But the warranty would have been the same from the $300 Facebook mind benders as opposed to the $800 REI mind benders that are useless today. So obviously I'm not going to buy another pair of skis from them, and I'll just buy a pair from a private party on Facebook or eBay, and then I'll take it into Ski Deals or somewhere like that and pay them to mount them.
Yeah,
and stuff.
For sure. Or up on the mountain.
Or up on the mountain at Loveland. Like they mounted up our How to Ski It branded skis. And and actually that's funny. I was going to stop by. If we ended up going up tomorrow midday, I was going to stop by and drop them off and pick them up on the way home next week.
Yeah.
But since we're going at 5 a.m., they won't be there yet.
Yeah.
But disappointed. And maybe that was my own fault for buying a pair of skis at a big box store. I've never in my life paid full price for skis. I've either had deals or I buy not secondhand, but private party.
Yeah.
And last year,
First time ever.
And, you could have gotten those skis private party for like $400 last year.
Yeah.
And I paid $800, and the warranty is the same. And my complaint, if you're from REI and you're listening, is they didn't really look at them and they didn't really consider, is this possible that this was a malfunction or something like that?
Yeah.
So,
well, especially where it broke is really weird.
Under the boot.
It's under the boot.
And it just snapped. It's like explosion. Yeah. So who knows? I'll move on. I will say this. This is going to sound super hypocritical. We finished shopping. I'm not going to say what we got my dad because
he might listen.
Well, it's for Christmas and his birthday, which is the 28th of December. He'll be 85.
Awesome.
And we're going skiing on Christmas. But we finished our shopping, but I will never, REI's out unless I need it and they're the only ones that have it and I need it tonight. They're out. Like, I'm guessing that they pay $200 or $300 for a pair of skis like that. And it's not that they needed to give me new skis. It's not that they needed to fix them. Is that they needed to humor me for more than 30 seconds that it was important.
Yeah.
And not just be tough luck.
Customer service.
Yeah. And I'll reach out to K2 because I do think there's something wrong with the ski. And I once blew an edge out of a ski and reached out to, I think it was Elan, and they sold me a single ski. They had they have defects. And so the band was back together. Like it was like a 3-month process.
Right.
So if you have a single, I think it's like a 185 Mindbender 99 Ti.
Hit us up.
Yeah, hit us up. It's the gold and black imagery on it. It's a cool looking ski. And the bummerest thing about this whole thing is I was loving that ski. I'd never used it as a front side ski, even though that's what it's made for. I had never used it as a front side ski until that day at Loveland.
Yeah.
And it was carving. It was, that ski was on fire until it wasn't.
Until it was on fire.
Until it was on fire.
And we posted pictures of the blowout on our Facebook
and
on the
Instagram.
How to Ski It. So check it out. So I'm disenfranchised with big box store ski purchases, and I'm sure most of our listeners are like, duh.
Yeah.
So yeah, buy skis from a private party or go buy them from, I think if I'd bought those at Epic Sports, which I always call Ski Deals, whether they would have replaced them or not, I'm not going to say they would have. They would have had an honest conversation with me about here's what we believe happened and why it's, why it's operator error or something, rather than there's damage and therefore it's on you. Well, any ski that breaks is going to show the damage of it breaking. And
because
so
it broke.
And their argument was like, there's damage. And so that's my understanding of their argument. Again, they gave me a solid 30 seconds. And they probably could have went as low as like 40% off a new pair, and I probably would have been shopping.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Awesome.
I'll be okay. Everything happens for a reason. And we bought a pair of mind benders and branded them with the How to Ski It logos. And then my mind benders broke. So I'm net even on mind benders. And if it snows, I'll take the 116s out and ski them this weekend if it snows. If it doesn't, they're not a good ski. Deb Armstrong's right. Wide skis are not good skis for everybody. And even an accomplished skier like myself, it's not a good ski for groomed runs or hard snow. I mean, groomed runs might be okay, but hard snow, it takes a lot to turn them over. So
It's good to know.
we've mentioned Deb Armstrong on like
Three podcasts. Since we read that article, we've mentioned her on every podcast, I think.
And her article was people are buying fat skis for the wrong reasons because they see the influencers skiing on them and stuff like that. And just to clarify, Deb, I bought them because they were $300. And they were wide enough to hold our whole graphic.
And I don't recommend other people buy them as their daily driver.
Yeah, unless you live in like Alaska and somewhere.
Just powder all the time.
You could make that ski your daily driver, but you're going to need some experience and some fitness to make that thing rip. So anything, what else do we have?
Any last thoughts before we close out?
The Super B at Copper Mountain is the most bang for the buck chairlift in Colorado.
All
I
right.
said it. 2,300 vertical feet, 8 minutes. And then yesterday the skiing was okay. But later in the year when drain pipe, the glades, 17 trees, stuff like that's all open, it's the most bang for the buck of any chairlift in Colorado.
You get long
That's
runs
awesome.
in. The thing I noticed on Strava was I actually did the same amount of vertical yesterday at Copper as I did at Loveland with like a third of the number of runs. And the runs were they're fun. They keep you engaged all the way from top to bottom. They change. It doesn't get, you have to stop and rest and be like, okay, what's next? It's a lot of bang for the buck. We talked about it a lot yesterday. That's for sure.
It takes more time to ski down unless you're just going to bomb Andes. It takes longer to ski down than it does to ride up.
Yeah.
Significantly. And if you would, one of our favorite runs would be drain pipe and then ski down and ski free fall glade. You're talking triple the amount of time it takes to ride the chairlift up. So the most bang for the buck. And we said that about Chet's is another good one. And I just asked one of our data guys, I sent him an article. I sent him an article about all the chairlifts in Colorado, and they have a spreadsheet. And I sent it to Tom and said, can we have our AI bot analyze this and figure out what really is bang for the buck, which would be time, distance, and vertical feet.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has to take you somewhere. But if it takes you a lot of vertical feet, it takes you somewhere.
Yeah, true.
So we're going to find out.
Awesome.
I think it's going to be the gondola in Aspen, even though that's a super long one.
Yeah.
The bang for the buck is off the charts from the amount of skiing you can do, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
How do you incorporate number of runs and variety of runs that one lift can serve?
Because
I think that's important.
I know you do.
I think that's important.
I don't personally think variety is important for me because I like advanced runs. So
I like advanced. I mean, that's what I like about the Challenger at Mary Jane is that I can't even count how many different chutes and black runs you can take off of that one little Challenger lift.
The Challenger 2-man, and that probably has a fair amount of bang for the buck because of the challenging terrain to get.
Mm-hmm.
It's a crazy long lift, 15 minutes or something insane, but
You can just about touch the whole Mary Jane side of the park, almost.
And you can ski all these different runs. So I see what you're saying that, that might be something we look at. I'm more just looking at vertical feet and not vertical feet from like the top of Vail down the front, which is somewhat all groomed and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm talking vertical feet like Aspen, where you're going down crazy runs. You can ski the Bell, and then you can go into Joker Glade, and you can do some really crazy stuff from the top of Aspen Mountain to the bottom.
Yeah.
And same with that Copper. There's under the Super B down to 17 glade or 17 trees. And that spits you out almost at the bottom of like advanced, if not extreme skiing. So we'll find that out.
That's awesome.
And we'll come back with that and see what bang for the buck. We'll give it the how to ski it best ski lift in the state of Colorado.
I like it.
And hopefully soon we can talk about other states. But right now, there's no snow anywhere that I know of. I don't know a whole lot about the far northwest.
Yeah.
But Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, it's not worth traveling yet.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. They may have some good snow, but it's not worth traveling to yet from Colorado.
Yeah, it's not. They're not blowing us away or anything like that. So hopefully this weekend things get on track with snow.
Nice.
And then you were going to tell us about a movie, and we're going to go see it maybe in Steamboat.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the hope. We came across something on social today. It's adviceforgirlsfilm.com. The name of the film is Advice for Girls. It's a ski film that has an all-female cast and crew. Advice for Girls puts a spotlight on the collective experience of women in the ski industry. The film highlights skiers across generations, from women who hold first descents to young skiers ready to make their mark on the slopes. And they have a tour going around showcasing the film. They're going to be in Steamboat on January 20th. That I think that's the one we're going to see if we can't make. That's a Saturday. And then they have a digital version that's going to be available starting in January 2024.
We'll try to firm that Steamboat trip up because it's one of our favorite places to ski. And if we can pull it all together, we'll make a how to ski it day at Steamboat, maybe earlier that day.
But yeah, they have a trailer. So again, adviceforgirlsfilm.com. I'll put the link in the description. They have a trailer for the film, and it looks awesome.
Is skiing, I'm curious, and I'm sure this number's out there, what's the breakdown of men and women in skiing? And it's probably not something we can get an accurate number today, so we'll talk about that next time. But we're deeply involved in endurance sports from our professional careers like triathlons, and it's like 70-30 on a good day, and that's disappointing. And so it's something, we personally have put effort into and trying to balance that out. But what is skiing at? And because I don't recall ever hearing a story. Most ski movies are dudes about dudes and stuff like that. So this will be cool.
Really interesting side note on that is I went and watched some Warren Miller films.
The guy who never saw Warren Miller films before.
And the opening to, I can't remember what the name is. I'll have to go back and look. The back catalog of Warren Miller is on Outside Plus, by the way. So there's almost all, I think all of them, honestly. I watched one from 75, I think it was. But it starts off, and the first thing that I notice as a person who didn't ski until the 2010s is, oh my gosh, literally no one is wearing goggles or helmets. This is insane.
Yeah.
And they're just ripping down the sides of mountains. Like they clearly had to hike up, and they're ripping down this terrain. That's amazing. And then at one point, the voiceover is like, and then we met up with these women on the hill. All of them are single because none of the men can keep up with them on the bumps.
Yeah.
Look at how good she's doing on the bumps. And you're just like, oh.
I recall that one. I recall that whole statement. And so.
Yeah. So it was actually cool to have watched that film from the 70s that he wasn't being negative. It just, phrasing is weird to hear from the 70s with a modern ear. And then to come across an all-female crew making a ski film to encourage women into the sport is really awesome to come across.
I like it.
Same.
I like it. And, one of the things we skipped over before we wrap it up is Dylan. We mentioned the other day, he switched from snowboarding to skiing. So that's like to
the light side,
from the dark side to the rebellion. And he skied everywhere we skied yesterday, blacks, the works, and it's impressive.
It wasn't pretty, but I made it down.
It was good.
He needs some work with his poles. And,
I do too.
and people ever ask for tips, or you know me, I love unsolicited tips. I start with the poles, and knowing what to do with your poles and knowing why they're there goes a long ways. And so once he pulls the poles together and takes about 6 inches out of the gap between his skis, he's going to be a super solid skier. But already he's going to be just fine going everywhere we go this year.
Yeah.
My legs are on fire. That
Still?
is. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mine are a little bit sore after 2 days.
You know what I did last night?
The boots.
The Normatec boots.
Oh, that's genius.
Yeah.
You didn't think about
Didn't even
that?
think about it.
So if you don't know what Normatec boots are, they're compression boots. So they go all the way up to your high thigh, your crotch area, and then they inflate with air to this great, you can get them really tight
Yeah.
to where it just squishes like all the blood out of your legs, and then it lets it back in and pushes it all back out and does this whole thing. And then your ski legs are like fixed.
They're awesome.
incredible.
Yeah. When you go that hard on your legs, they work great.
I don't know, and we work with Normatec and they're friends of ours, but why don't they market these to skiers? Because
It's a good question.
it blows the hot tub away. And so to not have to go jump in this public hot tub with 8 people, I can just watch the game on the bed and have a cocktail with the Normatec boots on. The tax hound doesn't like them, like the
Oh yeah.
sound the compressor makes. He's usually like, I'm out.
That
So-
doesn't surprise me.
All
Awesome.
right. This is going to wrap it up. Did anybody write down our plug?
Buy skiers for skiers?
Let's just go with
Wait,
that.
I know I didn't write down the plug.
How to ski
I
it.
can say first, follow us on all the social medias. That is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, all at How to Ski It. At some point, we will get our TikTok unlocked again and we'll have new content there. But you can go ahead and follow us there. There's some old content. And you're gonna do the thing?
I don't know what it is. This is episode 6, How to Ski It.
Perfect. For Dave and Dylan, I am Marcus. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all the other things. And our next episode talking about skiing Vail on a Saturday, I'm sure is going to be amazing.
And skiing in Midland, Texas. All right,
I'm gonna press the button. I've never done it.
do it.
Here we go. Is this the one?
Yeah. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Yeah.